Okay, we've received our NuvoH Complete system. We need to inspect the box for the components. So if we open the box, you have a softener housing, a filter housing. Now I've went ahead and opened them up. You'll see that you have your first charge cartridge and you have your taste and odor cartridge. We have two brackets and we have our install kit, which is our bypass kit, as well as our screws, our instruction guide, our warranty paperwork, and our wrench. Okay, we've inspected everything in the box. This is now a good time that we want to take the softener head off. We want to take out our cartridges. This is a very important part because you must make sure that all of the plastic is removed from the cartridge. And there's an acclimation process that takes place when you first start up the system. So this is a really good time to take plastic off your cartridge. Make sure your holes are pointed in the upward fashion. Put it inside the housing and then fill it with water from the center hole so that it can start crystallizing while you're doing your install. Okay, to get started with this complete install, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to go back to and mark our 48-inch mark on the wall because we want to standardize the length. So I've marked it here. And then I'm going to do it again because it's going to take up more room. So I've marked it right here. I'm going to go ahead and take a level at this point or a straight edge because this system is twice the size of the other one. I'm going to go ahead and draw a level line across here. This just gives me a reference point so I know when I start hanging the brackets that it's going to be a lot easier to make them level. So I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to take my first bracket. Even though I've made a level line, I'm going to go ahead and use a level. But I'm going to put in my first screw to hold it in place. Okay, we've got our first bracket mounted. I'm not going to do anything with mounting the heads yet because I'm going to go ahead and mount my second bracket. Okay, now that I know it's level, I'll remove the level itself. Go ahead and put in my second screw and tighten it to the wall. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to switch to my 3/8 bit. And as you've heard me say from the previous videos, when you go to put these in, be careful you don't over tighten them. A lot of times I'll run them in just till it clicks the first time and then I will stop and finish them by hand. Well, I want to take a second and let's discuss the head. If you look at this head, on the top of it right here there's arrows. There's also an in. And on the front of it there's in and there's out. You want to make sure, and believe it or not, this happens more often than not, but we got to make sure that the in is on the inlet side, the out is on the outlet side, so that they match correctly. So let's go ahead and mount this one up. All right, now I'm going to take my nut driver, and I'm just going to finish them by hand. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to install the first two male adapters, okay? And for time purposes, I've pre-Tefloned these. And I want to say again that please use Teflon tape and not pipe dope on our fittings because we just prefer it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in by hand. And I'll go ahead and tighten them up. You want to be sure that you don't over-tighten them. You just take them to tight and then give them a little tug. And you should be fine there. If for some reason you get it all installed and you have a little drip, you can give these just a little bit more turn because it'll move inside the PEX system without causing a leak. So you just want to make sure you don't over tighten them. Now, here's where things become a little different. Because if I mount this one up here right here now, and I put in my fitting, it's going to be real hard to put my piece of PEX in between there. So what we're going to do first is we're going to keep with it on the table. We're going to make sure our in and out's the right direction. We're going to go ahead and put in our male adapters, and then we're going to tighten them up. Again, please be sure that you don't over tighten, as it'll crack the head. Remember, tight plus just a little more. Now that I put the male adapters in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up here and take a short piece of PEX, approximate size. Oops, I got to turn that around. And I'm going to hold it up there and figure out approximately where to cut. Okay. Like so. And I'm just going to test it one more time, just to make sure. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, slide my rings on. And I'm going to go ahead and stick them on the inside. You know, with my drill handy and my mounting and my screws for the head, I'm going to take and I'm going to put the pegs onto the other side. You may have to wiggle a little bit, push it up in the bracket, and put in my mounting screws, like so. Okay, now I've got those in place. I've got my in and my in, my out and my out. And if you notice, it says filter and softener. Notice the in, always put the filter before the softener. It's very important for it to work correctly. So we've got our system mounted from there. So now we're going to start building our bypass. And I like to make these as close to the same as possible, just so it looks clean, like so. Notice I have not shut off the water to the customer yet at all, but I've got these started. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my 90s to start my turn. So I've got a 90 here and a 90 here. And now the next part we have to have is we have to have our shut off on our inlet and our outlet. So I'm just going to cut another couple pieces of pipe the same length. Put them on top of my 90s. This just keeps everything level. So I have a valve there, a valve there. Okay, now that I've got my valves in, I'm just going to cut a couple more short pieces of pipe to put on the top. Put my rings on. Okay, and then from there, see, now we've got it coming up. You've got your in and your out shut off. Now we need to create this bypass again. So I'm going to install a T on both sides, and now I need to figure my distance in between. So what I like to do is I like to find a piece of pipe that's pretty close, like so. Figure out where my center is going to be. You can do 95% of all your plumbing for this system before you ever shut off the water to the homeowner, which will make them happier because they're not going to be down as long. But that looks pretty straight, nice, clean. So we're going to go ahead and crimp all this together at this point. Then we'll talk to the homeowner and we'll make the final connections. Right now we're just going to crimp everything together, making sure we get everything. As you're going around, it gives you an opportunity to make sure that all of your fittings are seated correctly against the PEX stop, so you know that they're fully inserted. Okay, so now we've got them all crimped. Now I'm going to take a minute and line everything up the way I want it. Okay, now that that's done, now it's time for us to talk to the homeowner. So the homeowner has given us permission to shut off the water. So we shut off the water to the house, and we went to the nearest bathroom and opened the drain. So we've opened the valve on the bathtub, a sink. We've drained all the pressure down from the house. So once the pressure is released, with our bucket handy, and it doesn't, trash can, bucket, whatever you've got available, just something to catch water. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut into the main line. And I like to immediately push up on the pipe as water's starting to come out, and then slowly rotate the pipes down to drain the rest of the water. Okay, then I'm going to rotate the pipe down. And in this case, I got lucky because it's going to pretty much line up. So then I'm going to take and we'll make a mark where I can cut it at. So, take my cutters. I'm going to put me a new ring on, and I'll connect the two together. And I'm going to go ahead and crimp this just so I know it's done. Okay. Got my valve lined up. So now we need to connect this side. Okay, like so. We've got everything crimped in place. And now it's time to put the system together. But one of the things I like to do first is go ahead and bleed the air from the system. So I'm going to shut off my inlet valve to the softener, or to the filter and the softener here. I'm going to go ahead and open my bypass, and I'm going to turn the water on slowly back to the house. So I'm turning it on slowly, so leaving that faucet open, we're going to bleed all the air out of this system all the way back to the faucet. Okay? Once that's all done, I'm simply going to shut off the bypass, leaving the house water on, so it's still on. So now the water loop is like this. It stops right here. We're turned off here and here so no water can get through. So the first thing we're going to do next is we're going to take the plastic off of our filter. This is a pre-filter. We use it for sediment. We use it for taste and odor issues. Make sure all of the paper's off of it. We're going to insert it into our housing. And these the taste and odor cartridges, or the sediment filters, they really don't have a directional up and down. So just as long as you make sure that both the rubber O-rings are on. So I'm going to place it into place. Take it hand tight. We'll give it a snug with the wrench. Be careful, because remember it has water in it. This one here to put it in is going to weigh between 20 and 25 pounds. Get it up there hand tight. Snug it up with the wrench. Okay. Now at this point we've still got air in this cartridge. We've got some air in this cartridge. So here's the process I like to do. We still got the bypass shut off. We're going to slowly open the inlet valve to the filter side. You're going to press down on the pressure relief button until you see water start squirting out of the top. Once the water is squirted down to the top, you can stop there. Move over to your softener one. Press the relief valve on it. You see water squirting out of there. Stop. Bring it to full pressure. Burp them again. Just quick press on the pressure relief valves because they'll squirt water. Then open the system to the house side slowly. Your NuvoH Complete is ready for operation.